Rain hammered the windshield, while the hospital's emergency ringtone drilled through my cab. And 20 feet ahead, a brand new aluminum gate flashed silver like a dare. Behind it, on a white lawn chair with a glass of lemonade, the HOA president everyone called Karen raised her phone and said, "Calm as a cop show. Rules are rules. Cal." I eased the tractor forward and heard the welded crossbar sing like a bone about to break. My name is Cal. I'm a trauma nurse in a mountain town where minutes decide whether somebody makes it home, and the only road between my ranch and the highway has always been a skinny strip of gravel we all share, stamped decades ago as emergency access. That morning, I had 6 minutes, not 7. And I hit a gate. I had never seen padlocked twice with a fresh metal sign that tried to make it sound official. I rolled down the window, said what any decent person would say. "I'm on an emergency call. Unlock it, or hand me a key." And she smiled like a judge who had already written the verdict. Maybe file the HOA access form next time. I took the long way. A backup nurse covered the patient lived, but shame sticks like diesel on a jacket, and the whisper at work was simple and heavy. Nurse Cal was late. I told myself to be careful, to be patient, to remember everything the war zone tents and pile-ups had taught me. Calm people win. So I spread county maps across my kitchen table, circled the easement lines in red, and asked my neighbor Daisy, who keeps half the county's history, in a folder for proof older than any HOA. She pulled out a faded black and white photo stamped "Public Right-of-Way," emergency route, the kind of stamp a judge can feel even with eyes closed, and she patted my hand like I was 8 years old and said, "You'll find what you need right there, son." I walked over to Karen's yard. She was pruning roses in a visor, like she ran a botanical courtroom. And when I said the gate was illegal, she never looked up. Community approved. I asked who sat on her board, and she said, without blushing, just me and my husband clipped another rose. Watched the petals fall, then added, "You nurses think you save everyone, but this neighborhood needs order. You know what I mean?" That's the kind of line that haunts your shift at 3 a.m. She followed it with paper bullets, a yellow tag on my mailbox at 6:05 a.m. For unauthorized tractor storage, traffic cones stenciled, HOA across the gravel. No trespassing. Sprayed on the shared lane, a tow truck called to take my tractor like it was abandoned. A flyer slipped under my door about porch lights after 10 p.m. with a red circle around my address. I called Sheriff Holt, a man whose patience hangs from his face like his mustache, and he said the part that matters. "She can stall you, Cal, but she can't block emergency access document everything." So I did. Dash cam on the truck. A weatherproof camera pointed at the gate, not her house, the lane. A binder with tabs for maps, video violations, witnesses, incidents. Because if this ever went to court, I wanted a judge to feel like they had ridden shotgun with me. The HOA meeting felt like theater, lemon bars, folding chairs, a plastic gavel she slammed whenever my mouth opened. "The HOA controls internal road access," she said. And I answered quiet and steady. "You don't own a county easement." She leaned into the mic like a stage villain. Watch me cut my time and smiled for her phone. I know how to lose a battle to win a war. Instead of shouting near the coffee urn, I kept gathering receipts. I filmed her screaming at delivery drivers, blocking a volunteer firefighter, bragging to a neighbor in a low voice she did not know. My camera caught power. Feels good when people have to ask your permission. I handed everything to Laura, my lawyer who hates bullies on letterhead. And she said, "This is not just petty, Cal. This is dangerous, obstruction and public safety. Keep your cool. I'll handle filings." Yeah, that happened. A kitchen fire down the street brought a truck to the gate. The captain broke the chain. My camera caught her waving her arms at a moving engine with smoke in the background, and by morning the clip was everywhere. She tried a lawn press conference about protecting children, and someone shouted from the crowd, "Then why are you blocking ambulances?" The news cut right there, and the town finally saw her clearly. Mimi's popped up the nickname Gate Queen spread, and the people who had been afraid to look me in the eye were suddenly dropping off coffee and saying they were sorry. The twist landed in the middle, quiet and lethal. The county overlays and parcel stakes showed the gate's posts sitting on my side of the line. She hadn't just tried to own a public right-of-way, she had planted her monument on my dirt. I could have dragged it out. I could have waited for a tidy injunction and a bow. But life does not schedule emergencies around hearings. A storm rolled in the sky, turned the color of a bruise. My phone screamed again. 12-car pileup outside town, every trauma nurse on deck. And I drove straight to the same silver dare. New chain, new lock. Emergency access revoked by HOA order, printed like she thought paper could stop blood. I called, she declined. I called again. She answered with that calm that feels like ice. "You're trespassing." I said, "People are dying." She said, "You're not special." Policy is policy, and hung up. I stood in the rain until I could not tell if water or anger was in my eyes. Neighbors on porches watching. Because when something truly broken is about to change, people come outside to witness it. And in that quiet, I felt something in me shift. Not a snap. Not rage. The patience I had been stretching like a rope finally went slack. I walked to the barn. The tractor's engine rumble is a prayer where I'm from. Not about revenge, about work, about doing the next right thing. I rolled to within 20 feet of the gate and idled while rain poured off the hood in 2 clean streams. Looked through the glass at her, running from the porch in a robe phone, up like a badge, and for the first time I saw fear under the performance. First hit. The frame groaned. Second. Hit. The welds gave chains, snapped and whipped the mud. The gate folded and lay there like a creature finally done. Then a long moment with only rain and engine noise until one clap, then another, and suddenly the sound of a town exhaling. Holt pulled up lights painting the storm blue, took in the broken metal, the concrete footers, the stakes with fluorescent tape, and said it plain. "Ma'am, this sits on his line. You had no authority to install it." And that was the first true silence I ever heard from her. The county investigator came with the file. Laura filed the suit, and we walked into a courtroom that smelled like floor cleaner and old paper. Her lawyer read allegations the way you read a grocery list. Vandalism, harassment, emotional distress, while Laura put up the plat map. The stamped emergency photo from the 70s. The firefighter clip, the tow. The tractor order. The fake restraining order. Template, with no court stamp. The HOA minutes, with nobody present. And then she said the sentence that holds up in every county from here to the coast. A recorded easement is a property right. You cannot vote it away. Blocking an emergency route endangers the public. My client removed an unauthorized hazard. The judge turned to Karen. "You are the HOA president," she nodded. "Did you authorize or install the gate?" She tried to slice a difference until there was nothing left to hold, and the gavel landed like a small thunderclap. Claims dismissed. Injunction granted. Fines and costs assessed personally. HOA operations suspended pending review. I did not fist pump, did not grin. I breathed. For the first time in months, I breathed without tasting metal. People will argue about the tractor forever. I get it. Some will say I should have waited one more day. Some will say the ambulance should never have to ask permission. Someone will write a think piece about civility and process. Someone will warn about vigilantes with farm equipment. And maybe they are all carrying a piece of the truth. Here is mine. I tried the forms, the meetings, the lemon bars, the maps, the cameras, the polite phone calls, and the lawyered ones. And when the storm came and the call hit, when a padlock stood between help and the hurt, I chose the living over the sign. You know what I mean. Now I want to hear yours. Was I right to take that gate down when the pileup happened? Or did I cross a line you would not cross? Are HOAs keeping neighborhoods safe? Or are we handing too much power to people with clipboards? Tell me what your town does, where you think the line should be, whether rules matter more than mercy, or if the only real safety is a clear road when someone is dying. Drop your state, your story, your verdict in the comments. Argue it out with me with each other. Because if we can't talk honestly about power and compassion, we will keep letting metal decide what a heartbeat is worth.